YouTube channel and another live stream. And yes, I made it home from Queenstown and the South Island just fine. Pretty knackered, to be honest, though. Looking forward to this holiday break, Christmas break, New Year break, call it what you like. This time for me, it's only a short one. I'm back on duty on the 6th of January. Traditionally, I'd take a few weeks off, and this would become the start of a project period where we build something, be it a carport or a shed or whatever it is. It's sort of one time a year that we can really crack on before things get too hot here in New Zealand. Now, let's see who's in the workshop. So just give me a second. We're just going to do a quick refresh on the old YouTube and see what pops up. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Very exciting motorcycle behind me. I thought I'll put it on the thumbnail. We're not going to talk about that for the whole live stream, but you know, interesting stuff. What comes my way, to be fair. Why have we got that on? Oh man, there's so many things going on. So we have Mr. Rawl in the workshop. Good morning, Simon, and welcome back, sir. The last, is it the last? Yes, it'll be the last live stream of 2024. Has it been a good year? Any year is a good year, I suppose, that you're above ground. But for me, it's been an incredibly busy year, and I really haven't fulfilled my promise to you, the viewers. I haven't really put that many videos out, and for that, I am sincerely sorry. I remember at the start of 2024 saying to you, oh, it's all going to be different, and he's got way more time, going to be pumping out the videos for you. It hasn't really got going. I've done a few, don't get me wrong, I've done a few, but it hasn't really been anything like what I was hoping. Although I have, and you won't see these for some time, I've put quite a few videos to do with a particular brand into the bank of the future. So they'll be there. So there's probably about 140 of those videos now. I've still got one or two still to edit up. Cool videos, by the way. I've actually really enjoyed watching them while I've been editing them. And I'll do some more editing while I'm away sometime early next year. Obviously, it makes no difference when I edit those up. The important thing is they're in the can. Now, the Jane Governor, good evening, Andy and crew. How is everyone doing? Well, I've sort of already answered that. I am pretty tired. I can't speak on behalf of the rest of the viewers. Obviously, they can comment on that. But I have to push through. I've got a lot to get done over the next sort of two and a bit weeks. So more on that later. The real Daz 03. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Daz. Great to have you back, matey. Connor K. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Connor. It's a privilege to have you in the workshop, sir. Welcome back. Roger Heaps. Good morning, Andy and crew. My apologies to you, Roger. I was in Invercargill, but only for a very short time on my last trip. That last trip was just over 3 weeks long, and I did have a couple of days off. You know, it wasn't working every day, but I was working most days, and it was a very, very tight schedule. I think I got 2 Saturdays off and 1 Sunday morning, I think is what it worked out to be. There was some very long days, and I got back trouble-free, no problem. Oh, no, wait for this. You're going to love this. Okay. So last day, I'm in the North Island, truck's all loaded up. The weather's on and off raining, it's not too bad. And I didn't arrive into Greytown, the ferry was delayed. There was tremendous high winds and rain on the Sunday night, whatever date that was. So this is the Sunday that I caught the ferry. Ferry left about 4:30, 5:30, I can't remember now, whatever it was. Got into Wellington about, must have been a bit later than that. Got in about Wednesday about 10:30. It was due to dock. Sorry, Connor. Due to dock at about 10:30 p.m. And I knew I had about an hour's drive to get over the hill to Greytown, where I booked some accommodation. I quite like just getting out of Wellington as soon as I can, and then it makes it a bit of an easier drive the following day to get home. So, yeah, stuck to my routine, and it was howling a gale, raining cats and dogs. And I'd already pre-programmed the GPS. I mean, I knew where I was going, but, you know, when you're tired, it's easy just to follow the blue line and it gets you there. So I get off the ferry, start working my way onto the main road, State Highway 1, and we come to this junction, and I'm sort of half asleep in the left lane, all good. And I'm now committed because there's traffic to my right. I can't change lanes. And I'm like, this is wrong. I'm going the wrong way. This is not good. Okay, well, we've got to carry on. And I did probably about 20 Ks down that road, took an exit to work out what was happening. And the GPS I zoomed out, and the GPS was saying basically that the road that goes over the hill to Greytown was closed. And that there was a diversion in place, and the diversion was 246 kilometers. And I really didn't feel like driving 246 more kilometers that night. So, ooh, there's somebody at the door. Mrs. Mechanic, hang on a second. What have we got, honey?
I don't think you've done that. The bakery shop still isn't doing pies.
Okay. We've got a pie. Look at that. But it's a really cold pie. So I'm going to put it in the pie warmer right now. And then we'll continue with the story. And believe me, it's a good story. So sit tight. Here we go. So it's a Mrs. Max beef and cheese pie. Don't know if we've done it before. We'll have to look on the board. There is a new cafe in the village, but they seem not to be doing pies at the moment, which is sacrilege. There we go. It really hasn't been cooked. This is a proper, just defrosted pie. So let's go and pop it in the pie warmer. And we might have to monitor its cooking a little bit, because normally the pies that we get are sort of, oh, there's stuff in the way. Hang on a minute. We've got to clear things out of the way. Andy's not very organised. Okay, pie's going in. Boom, boom, boom. We'll set it off about there first, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, more on that later. It's going to be a good live stream. Right, turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom. Set the camera, there we go. Okay, so where was I? Right, so yes, I'd stopped the vehicle, zoomed out on the GPS, and yeah, road closed. So I ring Mrs. Mechanic, and it's now about 11:30 at night. She's still awake, watching telly, but dozing off, sounding very sleepy on the phone. And I said, can you just go onto New Zealand Transport website and just verify that road is actually closed? So she did, and she goes, no, it's just got a weather warning on it saying that there's high winds and rain and to proceed with caution and no high-sided vehicles and no motorcycles. And I thought, well, oh yeah, let's give it a go. So I backpedaled, not down State Highway 1, I cut across on another road to get to where that the road over the hill, I think it's State Highway 2, goes over the hill to Greytown. And I remember distinctly at one point there's some barriers that they put down across the road, when it is properly closed. And I'm driving through the darkness, and the wipers are running flat out, and the truck's getting blown around the road. And I'm like, man, this is going to be interesting going over this hill. But let's hope the barriers are up, because it's still an hour's drive, to where I need to go. And I was getting tired. And sure enough, as I came around this corner, the headlights picked up on the reflective tape on the barriers, and they were vertical, not horizontal. So it's like, yes. Thank you, Lord, for that one. So I proceeded with caution up the hill, and it's getting pretty windy. And I'm on the phone to Mrs. Mechanic. Yeah, I've made it through the barriers. I'm en route, because she was getting a bit worried about it. And got to the crest, got to the summit, so to speak, where the big car park is, and I was starting to go down the other side. And man, did the wind hit as soon as I went round the corner at the top where the car park was. There was rocks on the road, there was branches, there was all sorts of debris kicking around, no cars around at all. And I'm thinking, man, this is bad. And the other side has got the much tighter corners, so you're going really slowly around all these corners and stuff. And then there's some traffic lights. It says, slow down, 30 zone, wait for the red light, pull around the corner. And about 2 minutes earlier, one of those road working trucks, traffic management trucks, had gone the other way with all these flashy lights and stuff on. And he looked at me really odd. I'm like, well, still going, mate. We're all good. I came around the corner where he where he just left where the traffic lights were, and the traffic lights already blown over and was lying in the middle of the road, but it was still working and it was on red. So I thought I better stay here. Then it changed to green and I managed to squeeze past the traffic lights and carry on. And then got past the other traffic light, which is the end of the roadworks, and then was able to proceed. But it was really, really windy. Rocked into Greytown at 1:45 in the morning. So I was really tired. But anyway, straight to bed. I thought I'll have a lie in, which I didn't, because there was a lady next door in another room coughing her guts up all night, so that didn't help. So I packed up, loaded up, got a coffee, and then I headed north, began my journey home, and called in at Masterton. And just as I got to the outskirts of Masterton, I put in the GPS that I wanted to go to the VTNZ, because I needed to buy some more road user charges for the ute because it had run out. I was actually over by about 600 k's. So it was critical that I bought some more, otherwise you can get fined if you get stopped by the cops. And that fine would have been my fine, not work. So I pulled in, went a different route through Masterton and pulled in, and I had Jim Kay on the phone at the time and got the road user charges. Happy days, put me in the truck, carried on. And I'm leaving Masterton, I'm going, yep, okay, it's pretty much back roads all the way to Tie Happy. And I looked at the fuel gauge and I'm like, that's going to be close. This is going to be close. So you can toggle through on the steering wheel to tell you how many Ks of fuel you've got left, approximately. And I'm looking at the GPS and I put Tie Happy in, which is where the next fuel stop is. And I was 7 Ks over on distance to the fuel that I had. I thought, 7 Ks? There's always about 40, 50 Ks in reserve. I've driven it way beyond before, even with a big trailer on. So I wasn't unduly concerned. And we have a fuel card, so we can only use the work truck, and use BP and gas stations. And like I say, it was a pretty rural drive. So I get probably, I can't remember all the town names, but probably about 60 Ks away from Tie Happy. And I come into this village and there's no forewarning whatsoever. The GPS doesn't know about it. Road closed. And so, is it really closed? I just drove down about 500 meters and sure enough, it's all blocked off. No traffic, no nothing, road closed. And it's a pretty windy road that goes through a bit of a gorge. And I thought, well, maybe they've had a landslip or something. So I won't even tempt fate. Zoomed out on the GPS and found an alternative route, which was almost more direct. So I thought, this is great, bit wiggly, but it's directly north, which is perfect. So I just carried on that and bumbled my way through. Wasn't going particularly quick, just taking it easy, getting home. And you guessed it, another diversion. And I'm starting now to look at the fuel in the tank and how many Ks I've got left, and how many Ks I can do and the distance to travel. And the gap's about still the same, about 6-7 Ks. You're all good. You're going to be fine, Andy. It's fine. And it's raining hard again. It's windy. And this diversion, I'm following it along, and I start to remember the area a little bit. And I thought, hang on, there's a massive river around here somewhere, and there's a big gorge, and we have to go down a steep hill, over a bridge, and up the other side. And I'm thinking, up the other side could be a problem, because what little diesel I've got left is going to go right to the back of the fuel tank. Well, live dangerously. Motorcyclist, we're just, I'll be all right. What more could I do but carry on? I couldn't just stop. So I'm coming down the gorge road to go over the bridge, and I thought, well, speed is my friend at the moment, so let's get some Ks up, and thundered across the bridge and swung it round the corner and used as much momentum as I could to get up the hill. And just before I crept over the ridge of the hill, the car starts to balk down, the maintenance light flicks up, and I'm hard to the floor, and I'm popped the gear lever across to manual, slammed it in first and held it hard to the floor, and the truck crept over the top. And I'm like, whew. But my worst fears were realized. The truck was not happy, and it was most likely fuel related. So I carried on, and it was sort of coming around. I'm thinking, well, it's going to bleed up. It's a high pressure pump. It's direct injection. It's going to bleed through again. and we'd be all right. And sure enough, it sort of came okay. The management, the service light thing stayed on. That didn't go away. And it was definitely in like a limp home mode. There was nowhere near enough grunt that it used to have. But I'm on pretty flat ground, so we're all good. I'm trundling along and I'm looking at the Ks, and I've got, I don't know, 20, 25 Ks to go. And I've got 20 Ks of the fuel. All good. We're only 5 Ks out. There's always spare fuel after you hit 0. I knew that. Tried and tested. So I come to a junction and I'm like, if I go left, I'm heading south again to then join State Highway 1 to go back north. That's a bit of a dogleg. Let's go right and go the more direct route. Off we go. And it was a bit of a climb, not over steep, but just a gentle climb going up. And we sort of, me and the truck trundled our way up there, leveled out. Hey, we're going to be all right. The Ks are slowly dropping off. And then there was another steep descent. And I'm like, I wasn't aware of another river around here. Sure enough, another steep descent, another bridge, but this time with a very, very tight corner at the end of it, like a 15 km/h corner, almost like a hairpin, So speed wasn't going to help me on that one. I couldn't hit the corner fast at all. So I'm back into manual, into first, get round the corner, foot hard to the boards, and that poor little truck, it only just made it up that hill. It was really, really struggling. And we crept over the top, and I'm like, oh man, this is just getting beyond the joke. And I think we had maybe, 16, 17 Ks to go to get to Tie Happy, and we're down to like 12 Ks of fuel. I keep going, and I look on the map, I'm zooming out on the map, when do we hit State Highway 1? And it's about 1 kilometre away. So I get to the T-junction, and there's a road worker sat there in his truck having his morning tea or his lunch or whatever it was. Oh, hey mate, all good, and going past, and it's sort of missing on one of the cylinders, big time. And I get to the T-junction, and I'm like, I need to, and it stalled. It stalled at the T-junction. I'm like, man, this is not looking good. But the pull-out was flat, and then I had a long downhill. So I thought, well, that'll help me get some speed up, and hopefully it'll come back right, assuming it starts. So I get it fired up. Leave it to run for a little bit, like a fast idle for a little bit, and then all of a sudden there's a complete gap. There's no traffic right, no traffic left. I could see a good distance on both, and I pull out, and it was like driving a snail across that road. It's pulling out onto the main road. Anyway, I get across. There's still no cars, and I'm just going through the gears, trying to bring up the speed and get up to something like highway speed. And we did. Little truck got me up to 93 kilometers an hour. I was like, we're on a mission. This is going to work. We're going to be fine. And the road levels out. So I've done the long downhill. The road's leveled out. We're holding 93 Ks an hour, but it's got this regular miss. It's not happy. And I'm looking at the Ks, and the Ks are dropping off, and we're like 7 kilometers to go, 6 kilometers to go. The car flashes up, you've got no fuel. It's like all the lights come on. It's like, I'm not happy. I'm like, well, yeah, but we're in reserve. We're all right. We've got another 20 or 30 Ks of fuel. At least I'm not even towing a trailer. We hit 6 Ks on the dash to go, on the GPS to go, and I'm watching it go down, 5.9, 5.8, 5.7. Boom, nothing. Engine cuts out. I'm coasting. I look in the mirror, I've got a big truck behind me. I'm trying to look at somewhere to pull off, to get off the road so this truck can get past. All of a sudden, things went from being sort of okay to not being okay at all. Anyway, I found this driveway coming up, and I just slammed it into the grass verge, anchors on, still raining hard. And I thought, I'll give it one try. I'll turn the ignition on, I'll leave the electric fuel pump to prime a little bit, give it 30 seconds, and give it a crank and see if it starts. Didn't want to know. For the first time ever in a company vehicle, I ran out of fuel, and I had no spare fuel on board. And I was 5.7 kilometers from the fuel station. And by rights, if I'd been on flat ground, I'd have easily made it. What killed it, for some unknown reason, was doing those 2 gorge crossings. going down the hill and back up the other side and over the bridges and stuff. That I hadn't planned on that. And let's face it, that diversion was not even on my route. It wasn't even planned. If I'd gone the original route and the road hadn't been closed, I am absolutely certain I'd have been fine. In fact, the distance was about 20 k's less. And think back, right back to the previous night where the GPS told me that the road, State Highway 2, was closed, and I did that quite a big dogleg in high winds, only to realise that the road was actually open. And if the GPS hadn't have taken me off route that night, I'd have had another 20 or 30 k's of the fuel in the tank, and everything would have been fine. So I blame the GPS 100%. That road wasn't closed. It should have just given me a warning. But yeah, Andy ran out of fuel. So what did I do? I sat there in the car, I'm feeling pretty embarrassed. It's like, and then I remembered when I was cleaning the truck out a while ago, I found this emergency breakdown label. And so I dug it out. I remember where I put it. I dug it out, and it had on it expires and a date. And it expired March 2025. I'm like, yes, this is what I need. I need some help. So I got the phone fired up, ring them up. And the biggest problem was them locating my, finding out where I was. And I was giving them road names, that doesn't exist. Giving another road name, that doesn't exist. I gave them a grid reference, navigational numbers and whatever you call them. That didn't work. They had no idea what they were. Anyway, finally worked out where I was. They rang a guy in Thai Happy. He filled up a jerry can of diesel and came out. So he was there within about half an hour, I would say. Paid him at the side of the road, put it in the truck. We left the key on to prime for 30 seconds, turned the key, fired straight up. A little bit spluttery to start off with, but left it idling for a couple of minutes. And absolutely perfect. Instantly fixed. That's good news. Got to Thai Happy, brimmed the tank, and then set off home. So the whole palaver probably took me an extra hour, which is a bit of a shame. I was hoping to get home a little bit earlier than I did, but the good news is I got home. So there you go. Andy, one of Andy's little stories about a little twist on my trip back from the South Island. And it had to happen at some point. And yes, I have considered carrying a spare can of diesel in the truck. I did that with a previous company years and years ago, Partco, it was, in York I worked for, many, many, many years ago. And I kept a little 5-litre can in the back of the truck, back of the car. It was a diesel, a little Citroen AX that I drove. And, well, I got accused of stealing diesel because I was putting it in a can. So I said, well, that's fine. I just won't carry a can. I was just, I'd go into really remote areas. It would be prudent to take a can with me. I don't steal diesel. I've no need to steal any diesel. I just won't take a can with me. I never actually ran out, fortunately, but, the risk was always there. So that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't done it with my current employer, because I didn't want to be put in the same situation. But all is well that ends well. I made it home. It was quite an experience, though. Quite an experience. Right, so many comments. Where did we get to? Done Connor, Roger, John Nuttall. It was the year of the pies. It certainly was. We had a lot of pies this year, which is not good, actually. Simon, the quality of the videos has been good, though. Quality of content versus quantity. Thank you, Simon. I do appreciate it. And I just hope 2025 is going to be better. I need to have more time. I mean, we've got the side port to build, which is going to commence today. We're going to start on that again, assuming it doesn't pour down and rain. And then once that's done, we can shuffle everything out of the house port, put it under there, and I can do the deck under the house port. And then once that's done, finished. So I don't know when the deck's going to happen. It's going to require a bit of cash input for all the timber, so that's probably going to be much later in the year. So as soon as the side port's done, we're back on. But that's going to be sporadic job anyway. It's going to be little bits now and again. So hopefully there'll be more time to do videos. But I appreciate your comments. J. Billy Josh, Merry Christmas and have a great New Year, Andy and crew. Nice to catch you again. You too, Jay. Absolutely. Christmas has really crept up on me very, very quickly this year. I'm not prepared for it at all, to be honest. I was just busy thinking about other stuff. What's the pie? The pie is, well, I wasn't too sure if we're going to get a pie or not. Mrs. Max, and it's a beef and cheese pie. Now, I'm not sure if we've already done this or not. We'll have to have a look at the wall or the cupboard of many pies and find out. John Nuttall. Honda John says, look behind you. I know. Look at that. More on that shortly. Let me get the comments caught up. I can't multitask. Jim Haynes. We all made it. Almost another year and already signed a number of races next season. Good man. Even though we just got notice of another racetrack closing, which is 2 this year, and locally kind of, I've missed out some words there, Jim. That's bad though, isn't it? 2 racetracks in a year shutting down. That's terrible. Sorry to hear that, Jim. Richard Armstrong and Western Springs in Auckland is closing as well. Final race coming up soon. They must have got an extension to it, because I'm sure that they said they were going to close a couple of years ago. But they are definitely closing. And it's all because people move into that area that live around the racetrack and then complain about the noise. What the hell? It's been a racetrack for decades. Get over it. Councils are just too soft. They should stand tall and say, no, we gave that racetrack planning permission. That racetrack can stay. If you don't want to live next to a racetrack, live somewhere else. That's the attitude they should take. Not count out all these townies. Oh, it's a bit noisy. NV. Oh my word, I can't read that. That's German. I did do a bit of German, but maybe Mrs. Mechanic can decipher that one. I have no idea, but it looks good. So thank you very much. Something about Ostdeutschland, so from Germany, Andy. So probably something along the lines of hi, Andy from Germany. But I'm only guessing. Pete Curran, season's greetings, Andy. Cheers, Pete. Mr. Sheldon, there he is, our steering box expert. Tractor steering box expert, by the way. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Sheldon. We put together a package for you yesterday. It's going to be posted tomorrow. You probably won't get it till the new year. From me to you. And there's something inside from Mrs. Mechanic as well. Good stuff. Simon, about 12 years back, on the what? AOO? Going over Stainmore Summit. It was very, very windy. A HGV coming over had a static caravan on the back. Had the wind rip the caravan off and all over the road. Holy crap. So it didn't tip the lorry over. It just ripped the caravan off the bed of the truck. Wow. Wind can be pretty impressive what it can do, I tell you. Connor K, latitude and longitude coordinates. Thank you, Connie. See, sometimes I forget that kind of stuff. I used to do that kind of thing when I was at school. Orienteering. But no, giving them those numbers was absolutely meaningless to the lady on the phone. She's like, what are they? You know? Fantastic. Jim, Mr. Haynes, my truck I take to the races always has a 6-gallon jug in the back for the 4-wheelers and the truck just in case. All my own trucks carry a spare can, right? But the work truck, no. It was a pretty bad time when I got accused of it at my previous employers. So, you know, what can you do? And yes, I drive fast and I use more fuel than everybody else, but I'm not stealing it. J. Billy Josh gave a like for the story. We have all been twitchy bums. Yes, it was quite impressive, was that journey home. And I was very glad to make it home. And the truck's been fine ever since. And more on the truck, actually. That truck was due for replacement, right? So when I got back, in fact, even before I got back, I've been asking my boss, Alan, so what am I going to get next, Alan? Do I get one of the older Rangers and get to finish that one off before we dispose of it? There's 2 more with lower Ks. A 3.2 single turbo, 6-speed. Or have you got other plans? And he did. There's been rumours and mentions in the past about me getting an Isuzu D-Max vehicle, Ute, as my next vehicle. And that's the one that I drove back from Queenstown with a trailer on. And well, you already know my thoughts on the vehicle. It's a hideous machine. It's full of electronics and safety features, which you spend half your time turning things off that have automatically turned themselves back on. Now, to cut a long story short, that is my new truck. It's in the driveway. My old truck got taken down to the local Ford dealership to have a lot of work done that was outstanding. It was well overdue a service. It needed the front calipers rebuilding from a year ago because they wanted it for 3 days, and I've never been able to spare it for 3 days. So I said, right, that's outstanding. Get it all done. Get a new warranty and fitness on the vehicle. Get it all up to spec because it's going to get sold. And I bought it. I did. I thought it's been a great truck for me. I know it's worked hard, but it's been a fantastic machine. And I got a price evaluation done on it, and it was like, that's actually not too bad. We'll have that. So we have the truck. Pretty good. Not for long. Not for long at all, because I've got somebody interested in it. But yes, come and gone. But no, I've got the D-Max, and it's shit. Sorry, Isuzu. But for me, as an older driver, used to actually driving vehicles, and actually being responsible for doing stuff, being the driver, I absolutely hate it. It's a horrible vehicle to drive. It's got the lane assist, same as the Jimny. It's got the lane assist thing on it. It's then got, which just gives you a little bit of a buzz through the steering wheel if you drift about probably 3 inches from the center line of the lane that you're in, which is so annoying because every time you try and cut an apex, it tells you off. That's how I see it. And then if it senses it's a long straight and you're up to like 80, 90 k's an hour, it then automatically introduces another feature, which is a bit more intrusive, where a little green steering wheel pops up on the dash, and now it almost sort of self-corrects. So when you just drift a little bit within the lane, which sometimes is intentional, i.e. you might be going round an animal or something in the road, it actually tries to pull you back into the center line of the lane, which I absolutely hate. It's really bad. It's also got this radar thing on it, so if a car pulls out from a T-junction or a side road in front of you, it slams all on. You're happily going along 50k, 51 k's an hour in a 50 zone. Yeah, loads of room. The car's 100 meters ahead of you, 50 meters ahead of you, whatever it is. There's loads of room for him to get going. And you're going along and it just goes bang, slams all the brakes on and slows you down to like 20 k's an hour. And all the cars behind you are like, what the hell, mate? What are you doing? So it makes you look like an idiot as a driver as well. So it's slow, it's noisy, it's tinny, it's not comfortable. It beeps all the time. You get out of it, it beeps. You get out of it, 3 seconds later, it's locked the doors. If you're getting out of the driver's door and you want to go around to one of the passenger doors, by the time you get there, the car's locked itself. How annoying is that? Now, I'm pretty sure I can find some features somewhere and turn some stuff off. Some things you've got to turn off before you start the engine. And as soon as you turn the engine off, turn the ignition off, it'll reset and come back on and be annoying again. But I don't need all that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking a lot of the information that goes into the ECU to give you all modules that give you all these safety features are reliant on the 2 cameras at the front. There's a couple of cameras in the windscreen, behind the windscreen. So I'm going to stick some tape over those 2 cameras. They can get stuffed as far as I'm concerned. And I'm pretty confident that's going to shut down quite a few of the safety features permanently. But watch this space, I'll let you know. But it's a horrible vehicle, and I would strongly recommend you never buy one. I just don't like it. It's just too intrusive. I'm the driver. Let me do the driving. Thank you very much. Oh, there we go. On the A66. Sorry, Simon, I was reading. It was a bit blurry. Where do we get to? Simon, my last employer used to use fuel keys for the pumps in the yard. The pumps are lined to the van, and the pump, if you can have fuel on. Oh, okay. So the pump recognizes the van, and if it doesn't recognize the plate, it doesn't give you any fuel. Fair enough. I remember when my brother was working for Q8 Oils. He got moved to somewhere in Europe, and he was one of the accountants, senior accountant for Q8 Oils Europe or something. Very high job. And he was told to cut costs. So he was looking through the fuel cards. And of course, the company had a lot of company vehicles, and each company vehicle gets issued a fuel card. But then he also noticed there was a lot more fuel cards for other cars that weren't company cars. And he's like, what's going on here? Like wives of directors and stuff. And he said, no, enough's enough. And he cancelled all the fuel cards overnight and sent an email out to everybody saying, if you want your fuel card reinstating, tell me why. Justify it. And overnight, he killed off all the fuel cards that weren't relevant. Classic move by a Mr. Young, for sure. He didn't make any friends doing that one. He had a lot of irate people calling him up the next day. Where do we get to? Oh, my word, there's loads. Jim Haynes, back sometime right around the 1990s, the slowest production vehicle in the US was a diesel-powered automatic transmission Isuzu. Doesn't surprise me at all. Which was something like 26 seconds in the quarter mile. It was horrible. This thing, you've got to just slam your foot to the floor to make it do anything. There's also a known fault with these that I was told the other day by a chap called Jamie that works at the same company. He has one. I haven't experienced it yet, but if you're a little bit too aggressive on the throttle, even though there's no wheel spin, traction control cuts in and then you pull out at a snail's pace. Which then puts you potentially in line with oncoming traffic, right? Because the plan was, the gap, you've got to get going. So you put your foot down to get going, to do what you need to do, and all of a sudden, there you are, you're a roadblock. So not good at all, Isuzu. But like I say, I've not experienced it yet. I've only done about 600-700 Ks in that vehicle so far, so it's got a long way to go yet. Where do we get to? Sheldon. Thank you. 29th of March. Thank you. Rapoa, we might be up for New Zealand's speed record attempt. Ooh. That'll be with the Hayabusa, right? That'll be cool. Looking forward to that, Sheldon. I'll try and be there. Connor K. Autodromo Fernanda Pires de Silvia is a race circuit near Lisbon. Sorry, my pronunciation would have been crap. Been there for decades. The area around the track has since been built up and people want it gone. It's a great track. Well, those people can get stuffed, basically, can't they? Because the racetrack came first. That's the way they should look at it. Terrible. We had the same problem with our off-road centre back in the UK, but we won, which was good. Luckily, the person involved didn't get that much momentum. No, I didn't break the legs, but I did feel that way, to be honest. J. Billy Josh in a crash on Friday, the 13th, in my Range Rover Sport. He slammed on the brakes. I skidded into him, and now brought another. Now is it hard to replace airbag? Oh, how hard? Terrible English. How hard is it to replace airbags? Shouldn't be too hard, but they're not cheap. That's the problem. And that's another issue. We've got these cars now that are doing stuff which is, well, as other drivers you wouldn't expect them to do. I hadn't really planned for it. The car in front just anchors on, and it sometimes isn't the drivers of that particular vehicle's choice to put the anchors on. The car's done it itself. And, you might be driving a car that hasn't got ABS, for example. There's still plenty on the road that don't have ABS. and it may be raining, and sure enough, you're going to slam into the back of them. Simple as that. Modern vehicles can stop a lot quicker than older vehicles, especially when it's not really planned, you know. Roger Heaps, watch out for insurance. Turning safety equipment off can mean no insurance. We don't have any insurance anyway. It's all covered by the company. They have a chunk of money in a bank account, I think, from memory. But no, I hear what you're saying, and yes, should I be doing it? Probably not. But it'd be interesting to see, at least as a trial, to see if it stops it working. Because, hey, what happens when some mud gets on the windscreen? It could just be mud, right? John, and in fact, going back to the Isuzu, since we're on that subject again, it's a much lighter vehicle. It seems a lot less planted on the road than the Ranger, and I don't hold out a lot of hope for it towing the 3.5-ton trailer loaded. I mean, loaded to 3.5 ton, you know, overall weight 3.5 ton, because, you know, Lord forbid that I overload a trailer. I don't think it's going to cope very well with it. It's going to be a lot more involved for me as a driver, keeping the thing in a straight line. And I don't think cruising speed is going to be quite as good either, because the vehicle weight is less. But hey, we'll put it to a test, and no doubt at some point I'll probably do a walk around. You know, once I've got more used to the vehicle and bits and pieces, we'll do a walk around, and I can show you the inside and the outside and under the bonnet, and we'll have a little talk about it. But I was told that it's only temporary, and I will get a Ranger early next year at some point. I'm not holding my breath, to be honest. We'll wait and see. End of the day, a vehicle's a vehicle, and I've got a vehicle. It gets me around, but I'm going to be in that vehicle an awful lot, and I think it's important that the vehicle that's allocated to me is best suited for my role, and that one isn't, on many, many levels, and I've proved it already. Where do we get to? John, the first live of the year had the same make of bike as the last in the background. Wow. As long as it's a bike, I'm happy at best for the time of year to all. It needs the indicators fixing. It's been pretty much run into the ground. I'm not doing a service on it, I don't think. I'm just doing the wiring for the indicators and giving it a look over for a warrant of fitness. The lad wants to get it up and running and sold. He actually hasn't even got a license to ride it, so it needs to be gone. It's not urgent, but I would like to get it back to Auckland next time I go up to Auckland, which will be the 7th of January, I believe, from memory. Sheldon, oh my god, I hate some fly-by-wire throttles. Yes, the ECU goes pie. Okay, I forgot about the pie. I'll finish the cigarette. Thanks, honey. What was I going to say? I've forgotten. Yes, where the ECU decides, can you have more power? When sometimes as a human, you know, you've done a lot more calculations, and it's like, yes, we absolutely need more power, and we need it right now. You know? Purple Monkey, 1974. Lane departure sensors in wing mirrors. I don't know. The wing mirrors don't look like they've got any kind of cameras or anything like that in them. But there are 2 cameras, one either side of the rear view mirror. So I think it gets all its information from there, to be fair. But again, we'll find out. Who knows? I can Google it. Google will know. J. Billy Josh. It was wet on the A46, and he hasn't put a claim in yet against me. Insurance said I have up to wait 9 months for them to claim. For a claim. Joke. Talk about a similar kind of scenario. A friend of mine years ago, when we lived in the UK, was in Ambleside or Coniston or somewhere, and there was a taxi driver, I think it was, and they were following him, and he just stopped and reversed straight into the front of their car, almost like one of those deliberate acts to try and claim on insurance. It was weird, really weird. They didn't have a dash cam either, so it became a bit of a palaver trying to prove what had happened. But I don't know what the outcome was, but it was like, he did what? He reversed straight into the front of you and made out that they'd gone into the back of him, obviously. You know, so there's people out there doing that. I saw a similar thing on Facebook a while ago where it was caught on dash cam. People trying to claim insurance and go, oh, my neck hurts, right, all that kind of crap, you know. Simon, Vauxhall used the Isuzu 1.7 diesel engine in a few cars. Them things were bulletproof. In a car that weighed less than a ton, the 123 horsepower was quite quick. This one, I think, is a 3-litre. It's a little bit smaller than the Ranger engine. It's got many, many more gears, I believe, in the auto box. But it's noisy. It's got a push button start. So there I am trying to get the key, and oh God, I'm just getting used to it. It's just annoying. I just don't like it. And it beeps all the time. When you get out, it beeps. When you shut the door, it beeps. When you walk away for 3 seconds, it locks the doors. It's like, what the hell? Stop. I spent half my life trying to control the car. Yes, J. Billy Josh, crash for claim, pal. Jim Haynes, most cars today, when the airbags go off, lots of times the insurance companies total the cars because they don't authorise used airbags. So if 7 or 8 go off, equals a total write-off of the car. Yes, because of the repair costs. I remember when I first started in New Zealand, working at Firestone, we were doing some airbag replacements, and they would use second-hand airbags. And on a warranted fitness, if the airbag's over 10 years old, it's a warrant fail. But this is how stupid it is. You're not allowed to take anything off the car to view the sticker, the expiry date sticker. So you never know. So basically any cars out on the road, you could pretty much assume that if they're over 10 years old, the airbags are over 10 years old, that it should fail the warrant. But nobody fails the warrants. It's just one of those stupid rules that you can't validate the information, so you can't fail it. But then again, they say on a warrant of fitness, if in doubt, fail the warrant. So what do you do? Puts you in an impossible situation as a vehicle inspector. Jim Haynes, for the Range Rover, it's just airbags, or is it also seatbelt assemblies? Yes, because they pull down, don't they, on the seatbelts, as they have one-time use charges in them also, and some SRR computers need to be redone or sometimes replaced on newer cars. There's a lot it's very involved, isn't it? And very expensive once a car's been in an accident, to put it right. Simon, electric handbrakes, can't stand them. Yeah, horrible things. Luckily, this is a manual handbrake. My first car with my employer was a Commodore that had electric handbrake. Couldn't do handbrake turns. I mean, come on. Not that I do, obviously, just for the record. John Nuttall, pie. Yes, let's get the pie. Turn you around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. I'm in so much trouble. It'll be giving it plenty of time to sit, right? Because it had to cook properly in a nice warm environment. So let's have a look. It was all planned, really. Well, it looks a bit opaque. Oh, it feels hot enough. All right, we'll give it a go. Okay, the pie. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Where's the bag? Stick it on the bag. It's about the only clean place in this workshop. There we go. We have the pie. Everybody happy? Mrs. Mechanic, happy? I got me pie. Right, for those that have just joined us, this is a Mrs. Max beef and cheese. Have we scored it before? Let's go and have a look. Sorry, I'm jumping around. Let's have a look. So Mrs. Max beef and cheese. We need to look on the door, don't we? See if you can spot a Mrs. Max beef and cheese. Mrs. Max, Mrs. Max, Mrs. Max, Mrs. Max, Mrs. Max, Mrs. Max, Mrs. Max. Where is it? Have we got one? Not on that one. Hi, Lily. Mrs. Max. Mrs. Max. Can you see it on there? Not on any of those, is it? Is it one of the on the wall of shame? Mrs. Max. Mrs. Max. Steak and cheese. This is a beef and cheese, so it is different. 83. Mrs. Max steak and cheese. Traveller pie. Oblong. Any more Mrs. Max? Mrs. Max. There's a lot of pies on here, aren't there now? Jeez. Mrs. Max. Come on. Mrs. Max. Chili something or other. Not that one. Mrs. Max. Mrs. Max, there's one. Mega, no. Angus steak, no, not that one. Okay, I think we're good actually. We haven't done a Mrs. Max beef and cheese, so let's do it. Let's see where we end up with this one. Turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom. Oh, and just for the record, I still haven't had a chance to pick up those magnets yet, so useless. Really useless. Okay, so quick check around the pie. Boom, boom, boom. Structural integrity doesn't look too bad, actually. Puff pastry on the top. Bit of a breakage here, look. But we won't worry about that. That's a good start point, actually. So we're camera around this way a bit. Dum, dum, dum. We're going in. Are you ready? Oh. The base is quite weak. We're going to support the base. You see the cheese? Mmm. Nice. Okay. Thank you, John, for reminding me about the pie. Christchurch, MT Rider. Oh, nice. Morning, Andy and crew. Bit late. All good, matey. How's Christchurch? J. Billy Josh. Jim Haynes. Only dash bags, not pillars. 2005 RRS and still drives fine. As a copper stopped, made sure all okay. Then said, get them going and pull off to get info off each other. Yes, so get off the road and sort it out. I was 45 miles from home. And the Rosas pulled up. God damn it. Mrs. Sheldon, it's not looking good going off other max results. It's not, is it? They're all pretty low down the list. Quite small pieces of meat. And it tastes a very synthetic sort of taste to cheese. It doesn't taste like nice cheese. It's not. But it is a perfect eating temperature. Okay. So, first one. Overall taste of the contents. It's not great with that cheese, to be fair. I'll give it a 5. I think 5 is being generous. I was almost going to go for a 4 then. Structure fully partners. It's not looking ideal because we've got this big crack in the base. And if I don't implement good pie management skills, we'll end up with the contents on the floor, which will be a pie-tastrophe. I'm on fire today, right? Right, okay. Let's leave structure fully partners for now, but it's already down to, let's say, 8 because of that crack. And you can see how weak the base is. Look, it's already cracking again around there. So almost sets you up to fail, does that? Runnability test. Let's get rid of that bit of pastry. Okay. 45 degrees, 30 seconds. Here we go. Whoa. I can see some movement already just here, look. It's oozing. And that's probably because of the cheese acting as a lubricant. Plus the meat's quite small pieces, almost like a mince rather than a steak, which it probably is actually. So we're definitely on 45 degrees. It is just hanging in there, but there is movement. It's moving more now. Yeah, I'm going to abort. Jeez, look at that. I'm going to abort mission on that. Okay, not quite 30 seconds. Let's give it, I think, a 7 for that one. I know it didn't drop any, but we don't want to be dropping any, right? The sheer fact there's movement's a problem. Meat quality. It is very, it's just mince. That's all it is. It's just mince. It's not, there's no big chunks in there at all. It's quite, the mince isn't great, to be honest. We've had better. Meat quality. I'm going to give it a 6 or a 5. No, I'll give it a 6. I think 6 fair. Okay. Pie to crust ratio. Well, there's not a lot of pastry. If you look at the cross section there, look, the pastry on the base is super thin. I think that's one of the problems actually with the structure. The sides are actually not too bad as well. and the lid's pretty thin. So overall, there's actually quite a high volume of meat compared to the amount of pastry there is. So it's done quite well on that one. Let's give it an 8 for that. But at the expense of structural integrity, right? Okay. Availability, stroke logistics. You can get them in supermarkets. I've seen them around. This came from the local petrol station, so some petrol stations stock them. Usually the lesser branded ones, you know, like the gas stations and stuff, the ones that don't have their own brand of pies, unlike the BPs that obviously have the Wild Bean Cafe stuff. And I think the Z petrol stations, they have their own brand of pie now, or they buy them in and then rebrand them, whatever. I don't know, but reasonably accessible, and you can buy them online because you can get them from supermarkets. So what do we do? 7? I think 7's fair, because other than the supermarkets, they're not that readily available. There's lots of competition still within the pie industry to get your pie, that particular brand of pie, into your local store. So there's lots of pies to choose from. Pastry taste rating. I can tell you now, it was crap. Incredibly bland, a little bit gooey, and it's the kind of pastry that sticks to your throat. So you have to have a drink to wash it down. I hate that kind of pastry. So I'm going to give it a 4. I think it's pretty crap. Still tasty when cold. Too early to tell. Oh, packaging design. Sorry. Talking with a full mouth. Packaging design. Well, it's plastic. Is it recyclable? Let's have a look. Oh, it is. No, it's not. Put it in the bin, it says. It's got a rubbish bin there. Look, that's going to score later on. So it's got a picture of what you should expect as a pie. You can't really see it. I know you can just about see the base of the pie through that little tiny window at the back. It's obviously distinctive. It's got their big logo on there, so you know it's a Mrs. Max. If you're a fan, you know where to go. And it tells you how to cook it on the back and bits and pieces. But unfortunately, I would say that image there raises your expectations, because it didn't look like that when it came out. It looked a lot more squished and a lot less contents, which it sort of works against it, really, I think. Hormone-free beef, whatever that means. Serving suggestion. I'd like to know how on earth they managed to cut the pie like that and keep it from squishing down. Probably just a drawing, I would say. Never really happened. So we should give them, we'll give them a 7 for that. It's not bad. It's a lot better than a paper bag, right? Recyclable score. Well, we covered that. It needs to go in the bin. It's got a picture on the back of a dustbin. See that there? Look. It's rubbish. It's not recyclable, so it gets a big fat 0. Post heartburn. Already had 1 burp, so we're down to 9. 2 burps, down to 8. Pie server attractiveness. From the local petrol station, and it's a Sunday morning, so I know who works on a Sunday. I'm going to give her a 6. As good as it gets. And if you're not happy about that, blame Simon. Okay, we need to crack on. More bites. I don't think it would taste that good cold, to be honest. It tastes okay warm. So, structure fully partners. We sort of saved the day with our goods management skills. We were down to 8. Now, a break right in the middle of the base like that is pretty damn serious, isn't it? And it did start to crack as well from that point. A secondary crack started to appear. So it could have been a very serious problem. And it was quite runny of the contents. It'd have been all over your hands. It'd have been a real mess. Or right down your nice crisp work shirt. So I'm going to take him down to 7 for that. I think that was pretty serious. Obviously, no cracks. You get the full 10, right? One thing I will add is the lid was well bonded to the base, which was something we don't always see on pies. Okay. Still tasty when cold. Well, I can only hypothesize with this one. It's got some weird synthetic cheese in it. The pastry doesn't taste great. The meat's sort of okay. Isn't going to taste nice cold. If you find it in the glove box 2 days later, probably not. You probably would eat it, or I would, but it would just be, okay, I've satisfied my hunger. We'll get a decent pie next time we stop. So I'm going to give it, I'll give it a 5. I'll give it middle of the road. How's that? Okay, a bit more. Okay. So, stuffability score. I'm actually pretty full. I wonder what weight the pie is. Does it tell us? The average pie here in New Zealand is 200 grams. So, does it give us the weight? They have to give you the weight. Bear with me, caller. They don't give you the weight. Oh, sorry. Yes, 175. So it's below average weight of a New Zealand pie, which is not a good start. Okay. So, am I still hungry? No. Not really, because the gooey pastry, which that was another chunk of it, and the synthetic cheese has sort of put me off food, to be fair. So, I'm not stuffed. I'm not hungry. What does it get? A 10? I don't want to give it a 10, but I have to give it a 10, don't I? Because I'm not hungry, but for the wrong reasons. Not that it's filled me up, that it just didn't taste great. It left a weird taste in your mouth. Okay, have we got all the scores? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We haven't, we're missing one. Post pie heartburn. 2 burps. Are there any more? I think so. Gets an 8. Okay, we can add up the scores. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. Right, so we'll drop you down a little bit. I know YouTube doesn't like this. It gets very upset. Okay, so we've got, you can have these up with me if you like. Pretty much all there. So 14, that's 19, 25, 33, 40, 44, 49, 56, 64, 74, 80. That's pretty standard for a Mrs. Max pie, isn't it? Pretty weak. Okay, let's go and see where that would sit on the board, because I've not got any labels, so I'll write it out on a little sticky thing for now. So 80. There's your scores again. Look, just bring them down. 80. Oh, it's on the backboard. That was another burp, by the way. So it would go exactly there, look. Just below Irvin's The Beast, and I think Irvin's have closed down now. And the Big Ben XXL creamy butter chicken. So right in there, we've got a space for it lined up. It's pretty good. Okay, right, so the pie is done. Just while we're wandering around, not too fast because YouTube doesn't like it, let's have a look at this machine. It looks pretty fast, doesn't it? It is a CBR 600 RR. And what year is it? Let's have a look. Has it got the rego on it? No rego on there. Is there a red gel label anywhere? I know the lad rides it illegally, but at least they have the old red gel label on there, wouldn't you? Whoa! Whoa! Hang on a minute. Oh God! Jeez. Okay, so there's a red gel label. So it is. There we are. Look. See if we can see under there. It's a 2003 Honda CBR 600RR. So it's pretty old, 21 years old, 22 years old, 21 years old, something like that. Pretty old machine, but you know, in its day, a fast piece of kit. And don't forget, it's got the pillion seat. I bet this bike has seen some pretty fast chicks on the back of there, to be honest. It's the kind of chick magnet, isn't it? Chick magnet bike. I mean, I know the lad that rides the bike, and pretty sure he's had some pretty fast chicks on the back of there as well, to be fair. So what's it in for? Well, I'll show you. It needs some love. Look at this. They've used beer bottle tops as washers for the number plate. I mean, really, who could not afford 2 washers? Yes, this is one of the indicators. It's been modified to stupid LED ones, and this is the wiring. And I think he was saying that some of these wires are for the number plate light that doesn't work, which needs to work. In actual fact, it doesn't even have a number plate light, so that's why it doesn't work. And I think this one here, there's a pair of the very tiny little wires in here. This is for the indicator. Let's have a look at the other side. Has the other side got any wires in it? Yes, it has. So there we go. So we can turn the. I haven't even checked it. It came off the trailer the other day, yesterday. Oh, there we go. We've got neutral. Is it going to fire up? Yeah, we've got fuel pump. Nice. There's a warrant fail right there. Look. Okay, indicators. Nothing. Nothing at all on the indicator front. And we've got a dead LED in the tail light as well. That's going to wake the neighbours up, isn't it? Oh my word. Mr. Young. So there you go. That's what it's in for. A bit of wiring and a quick look over to report to the lad what work needs to be done. I don't know if I'll be doing the other work or not. If I am, he's going to get an invoice. This isn't a freebie. That's for sure. Right. Back to the... Oh, actually, look, we've got stuff while we're doing a walk around. We've got a tap and die set. Now, Jared, I ordered this with Jared a very, very long time ago. I haven't even looked inside yet, so bear with me. There we go. So this is the one. It's the one that I ordered actually got discontinued, so we had to change it. This is a much smaller kit. Article number 5569-553. You'll find it on the Forge website, I'm sure. Are you ready? Now this has travelled all the way from Germany, so not surprisingly, some things have fallen out. Let's put them back. I spotted one down here as well. There he is. Stick him in there. So it doesn't look a bad kit, but it's not. Jeez, in you go. Oh, I know why. We're a bit too far down, aren't we? Let's try that. Oh no, that's where it goes. Okay, so we've got in this kit an awful lot of holders. all different sizes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 die holders. And we've got, no, 5 die holders. We've got 2 tap holders, different sizes. And we've got an array of drill bits. Now, these are actually quite good because these are the actual drill bit sizes that you need to do the taps, the relevant taps. So some of them are weird sizes. I think M8 is a 6.8 drill bit. So, oh man, I can't read that. Yes, 6.8, just 6.8, you see. So useful when you need the right size drill bits. But in reality, oh, and there's a thread gauge as well, look, which is pretty handy. Don't have one of those, I do now. It's not metric, it's metrisch. Look at that, German. Brilliant stuff. But as regards tap sizes, we've got M5 by 0.8, M4 by 0.7. So I think M4, oh, M3 down here, that's pretty cool. M3 by 0.5, M6 by 1, M8 by 1.25, M10 by 1.5, and M12 by 1.75. So the coarse metrics. And as regards taps, M3, M4, which will be the same pitch as the other ones, they'll match up. We've got an M12 there, M5, M6. Man, that's tiny for an M6 tap. Look at that. Minute. Careful with that one. I've got much bigger M6 taps. I use them all the time. M8 and M10. So there's not a lot of, it's just a common sizes basically. There's no what I would call fine metrics on the bigger sizes. But still very useful to have in the workshop and looking forward to using it. And it'd be quite nice to have some decent tap holders as well, because I left some of mine in the UK and I've not had them since. So thank you, Jared. Very much appreciate that. A great addition to the arsenal of the Andy Mechanic Workshop, which is what it is. We also got some more brake cleaner, which we were desperate for because Ben's been in my workshop and used it all up. Haven't you, Ben? Little bastard he is, honestly. Right, so we've got that. And if we come over here, whilst we're doing the walk around, and I'll come back to the comments shortly, we've got all sorts of stuff going on. So I've got to do some machining work over Christmas as well. So I picked up some nice cutting fluid to water down. That should do about 20 litres, I believe. That's the plan. A couple of mill bits, some blind mill bits, 10 mil. Because I've got to drill some holes and actually have the base of the hole dead flat. So I need to use, I got 2 because I might break one, you know. And everywhere's shut over Christmas. We've got some paint for Larry the Carry, because I spotted a little bit of rust on his roof. So we've had some paint mixed up for Larry. So there'll be a video on doing that. I'm not a painter, so you'll be able to ridicule me on that. So we've got some spray on. This one is rust stop. So rust converter, basically, because it is a little bit rusty. So we need to convert the steel, you know, because we don't want, it's only quite thin metal, his roof, isn't it? We've got some nice primer filler. Now, I know there's 2 tins. We're probably going to use like 1/10 and 1 tin, but now that this stuff's mixed up, there's a few places on Larry that could do with a bit of a touch-up. So we've got the right colour. It's all paid for. It's in stock. It's there on it for a rainy day, and I can get it done. What else? Yes. Look at these. So this is, I can't tell you the brand, right? You can guess the brand. But this is for the 700cc ROV, or side-by-side, and it's to hold the primary sheave when you're tightening up the nut, you know, to torque the nuts. And on that one, it's 170 Newton meters from memory. This is for the same brand, but 850cc parallel twin engine. And again, it holds the primary sheave, so you can torque the nut to, I think it's 230 on that one. I could be wrong. I've only done a couple of those. But it's these tools positively hold the sheave in place while you torque up the nut, and they are brilliant. In the South Island, pretty much all the motorcycle shops that I called into purchased a pair of these. I'm currently working on a 350cc ATV sheave holder, which is pretty simple, and there'll be one for a 450 as well. This is my prototype. Here, look. We had to take the handle off because Sheldon very kindly machined back this a little bit. We had to make the ID a little bit bigger. So we cut the handle off so it would go in his lathe, and he very kindly welded it back on for me. What a top bloke. Thank you, Sheldon. Really appreciate that. So that allowed us to do a final test, a final fit, and then I was able to email through and trigger the first production run. And there's already about, we've just put these together, all the orders into envelopes, and they're going to get shipped out on Monday for the South Island. So pretty much all the dealers in the South Island that work on the ROVs and ATVs will now have a pair of these. And they were very, very pleased to get these. And the price of $100 each, they were very happy to pay. A lot cheaper than you'd normally pay for special tools. So they were over the moon. So that was a big win for Andy, and a big win for the dealers, and a big win for the manufacturer, to be fair. So there you go. I think that's about it on the walk around. Oh, I know I did get. There's a company in the South Island that assembles ROVs that I popped in to see and say hi because they know me. And I asked them to save me all their crate nuts and bolts. Look at that. 2 boxes of M8 bolts. Got M8 bolts forever now. Absolutely brilliant. I know they're not the best quality, but they're free. 8.8s. Can't go wrong, can you? Hundreds of them, thousands of them, for free. So thanks, chaps. Really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate it. Boom. Right. Dum, 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 dum. Where's my store? Back to the comments. I've had a walk around. I've done the pie. The pie didn't score very well, but we thought it wasn't going to score. Oh, jeez. We thought it wasn't going to score that well anyway, so it's all good, isn't it? Cold coffee. Okay, what are we on? 1 hour and 16, so we've got about 14 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, 13 minutes to go. I don't know. Whatever it is, it'll be. And then I'm going to be up a ladder. Okay, scrolling back up, so many comments. So, where do we get to? Oh, yes, I've done that one. Sheldon, it's not looking good. That's right. So, Simon, so can you call a pie of the year for 2024? I can't. I didn't really make note of all the 2024 pies, unfortunately. I can't. It's just like an ongoing thing, isn't it? We should maybe clear the board and do a separate one for 2025. That might be an idea. Couldn't we do that? Remind me on the next live stream. 2024, in summary, though, has seen quite a few pie producing companies close down here in New Zealand. Some of the iconic names like Irvin's Pies, and I think Mackenzie was another one that's gone. They were not. Mackenzie pies were nice pies, actually. They were. You know, when you saw a shop selling Mackenzie pies, you knew you were going to get a good pie. But now there's a few that have shut down now, which is a real shame. But there's other one. Oh no! It's just dropped my cigarette. What's he like? Taxi. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, there's been a couple of upstarts as well. So we'll see how things pan out. Really, 2025 could see some more pie companies pop up and other ones disappear. Times are hard out there. They really are. I mean, the Wild Bean Cafe pies now, the premium ones, the gourmet pies, are like $6.70, I think it is. It seems to be the same price across all the petrol stations. It's not localized pricing. Are they worth it? $6.70 is a fair chunk. I don't think they get away with charging more than $7 for a pie. Not based on the size of the pie and the quality. The quality's definitely dropped at the Wild Bean Cafe, unfortunately. And some of their petrol stations don't do the gourmet steak and cheese anymore, which is a shame. But hey, maybe people in that area don't like steak and cheese, which I can't believe, but anyway. Where do we get to? Hang on a minute. Jim Haynes, my 1997 Chevy is a 1-ton with no airbags. I used to have a Charlie truck, which was, oh God, how old was it? It was a Daihatsu F55, so you can Google that, Daihatsu F for Freddy 55, 2.5, normally aspirated 4-cylinder diesel, and I paid £200 for it and drove that around for years as my everyday vehicle. And it was rusty, but it just started, and it felt weird. It was very rudimentary. It was like a tractor, a pickup version of a tractor. It was just super useful. I did lots of off-roading weekends away in it, and it was strong. You know, I had a worn 8274 on the front. It had a homemade. I didn't make it, but I had a really good fabricated deck on the back, because obviously the original deck had rotted away. Yeah, it was a cool truck. I had drum brakes in the back when I got it, and I upgraded it to disc brakes off the 4-track, and that made a big difference. But other than that, bulletproof machine, very rudimentary. Cool piece of kit though, but it finally just rusted away. It was just, the cab just fell apart on it. And it was very uncomfortable to drive because the seat had lost most of its foam. You were basically just sat on the springs. It was horrible on long journeys. Jay Buddy, is that cooked? Yeah, the pie was cooked. It was all right. It looked a bit anemic, but it was definitely cooked. The real Dars, I don't mind those pies. It was all right. I mean, we've had worse, right? It just sort of did the job. Maybe that's all Mrs. Max planned to do. We just do the job with our pies. Maybe that should be their slogan. It does the job. But it wasn't enjoyable to eat. Not really. J. Billy Bush, can't beat homemade. Mrs. Mechanic does make the odd pie now and again. She made some steak and cheese pies about a year ago, and they were good. I said she should make some more, but she hasn't made any ever since. Banana Brooks, welcome back, sir. Rich Armstrong, CBR 600RR, I think, 0506. Yeah, that one's an 03, so probably one of the first. Sheldon, speaking of CBRs, we picked up a 1987 CBR 250F, only 5,000 kilometers. Holy crap. Turns out not running right after a lot of hunting. Turns out someone had installed a CBR 250RR main jets. 105 should have been 85. Problem fixed. You are a legend, Sheldon. Well spotted. And yes, people do like to meddle, don't they? Unfortunately. Banana Brooks 03, damn, 2 years out, not far off. Simon, the front calipers are bad for cracking around the pad pinhole. I'll check those, thank you. New Level Auto. Hey, you've got Keith on board. Good morning, Keith. Welcome back to the workshop, sir. Does it smell like sauerkraut? Merry Christmas all. Back to work I go. That was the tap and die set, right? Well, Keith, keep up the good work, matey, and great for you to drop in. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. We do need to do another YouTube channels group Christmas video, maybe for next year. It's obviously too late this year, but maybe next year. I'll be very much game for that. And I might just be able to drag Tool Girl Holly down to join in. We'll see. Either that or we'll have to do it at the pub, and I'll just get her dressed up. You know, she can wear all the gear. She'll like that. Simon, New Level. Keith, have a good Christmas and a New Year, Keith. Very good, Simon. Thank you for that. Banana Brooks, Simon, cracking, really. Yeah, he got everybody worried now. Purple Monkey 1974, you might be able to turn off some settings using the OBD2 scanning tool. That's on the Ute, right? Maybe. Should I go to that extent on a work vehicle? Absolutely not. I think I'd be stepping into the realms of getting told off for that kind of stuff. Unless I get permission to do it, but I very much doubt that I would. So I'd rather at the moment just explore, hey, you know, the windscreen's dirty around the cameras and they've temporarily not been able to work, right? You know, that's a plausible and, you know, it can happen kind of thing. Maybe it needs both cameras to shut down, to be blocked before it'll actually give up. Maybe they have two cameras for that very reason. I don't know. Simon, Bernard Brooks, yes, on the screw thread side. Interesting. John Nuttall, hit the like button. Yes, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be great. Hit the like button if you found this live stream to be fun and informative. We've covered loads of stuff and it's been quite cool, actually. I've enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed the story about running out of diesel in the work ute, because that was quite, you know, it was quite nerve-wracking, really, because I was in the middle of nowhere. and at least I managed to get onto State Highway 1 before it finally ran out of juice. Trying to explain to that lady if I'd been still on one of the minor roads, it would have been an absolute nightmare. It really would probably still be there now. Who knows? JJ, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Andy and crew, thank you, JJ, and the same to you and to all viewers. Do have a relaxing Christmas time off. Those of you that have to work, then I do feel for you. I've got some work stuff to do myself here in the workshop. Can't talk about it. Super special secret stuff. But that's why we've got the milling bits, and there's some brass rod over there, and there will be a couple of videos on it, but you won't see them for many, many years, unfortunately. But I think you'll find when they do go out to be very interesting, the work that I'm doing. And now's the time for me to capture it while I'm doing it, and I'm learning as I go. So there's a lot of information that I can relay in that video that I'm very confident will help a lot of people around the world. It's something which is not that commonly known in some countries, are these modifications that I'm doing, and have a significant effect on the vehicle's gearing, and in some cases, given the application of use, the longevity of the engine as well, because there are side effects that we need to talk about. But again, that's all going to be in the videos, and it'll be out in once I retire, basically. Smartphones do send your location. Well, yeah, but you've got to be technically minded to do that, and I don't know how to send my location on my phone. I just told her what road I was on, and I told her the exact number of kilometers, 5.7 south of Taihape on State Highway 1. How much more information do you need to know that I'm on State Highway 1 and exactly 5.7 kilometers south of the petrol station? It's pretty simple. I mean, I could have followed those instructions, but she seemed to struggle, unfortunately, which is a bit strange. Maybe her computer wouldn't take it on board. I don't know. She was trying to use Google Maps to find me. I know that. But we got there in the end. That's all that matters. And she realistically only took 3 or 4 minutes to find my location. But it seemed quite a painful experience trying to get her to understand where I was. But we got there. So my task today is I'm going to go outside of Mr. Mechanic. We've got 4 200 by 200 tannalized posts set in the ground for the side ports. They're all of different heights. We've got to level them all off, top them so they're all the same height, and then I can start measuring up the steel bracketry that I need to make to clamp the horizontal beams on top of those posts as the support for that end of the side port. Once that's done, we can start to put up the main beams, and there's about 17 of them to go up, which mimics exactly what's on this side of the roof. And then once that's done, and that's as far as we're going to be able to get, I think, during the Christmas period, I'd like to have all those roofing beams in place. We can then make all the little L brackets in readiness for the other 150 timbers that go perpendicular to the roof beams. I've forgotten the name of them. Are they called rafters, Simon? I don't know. They go on, and I've still got to buy the timber for all that, so I've got to save up for that. And then once they go on, then I've got to save up for the tin, and then the tin can go on. And then all of a sudden, we have a side port, and it will be fantastic. The total roof area of what will be the workshop, Ben's workshop, and the side port, it's all going to look, like one building from a bird's eye view, is massive. It's way, way bigger than the house roof. So you can imagine the size of the project. But yeah, one step at a time, and we've got all the timber, we've got all the roof beams here. I picked those up a while ago. So we've got all the nuts and bolts, we've got all the screws. We've just got to make the brackets and just get on with it, basically. And the weather doesn't sound too bad. It's not raining at the moment, so why not? This will get done at some point, and yes, this will be videos. So watch out. There'll be some videos hitting the channel over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. Will it be a Christmas special? It won't be done in time for Christmas. No, I want to make a start on the side port, to be fair. That's more important to me than fixing somebody else's motorbike. And the indicators, will there be an invoice on that? I don't know. It depends if I have to buy stuff to fix it. And if I have to buy stuff, there'll be a delay. Simple as that. John Nuttall, I'm in bed. I'm in bed? Am I bad? Oh, am I bad? Am I bad? I don't know, John. Are you bad? I think we've all got a little bit of badness in us somewhere. Okay, crew, it is time for me to sign off. Oh, by the way, sorry, next week, Monday and Tuesday morning, I'm still at work, so I'm working. I won't be in the workshop. That last week I've done my own time. I've got a lot of admin work to finish off before the end of the year. I won't get it all done. I know I won't, but I've got some that I really want to get done. And pretty much over Christmas and New Year, pretty much every day that I've got off until I go back to work, I will be outside doing stuff. I'm sure of it. Okay, crew. Next live stream will be in 2 weeks' time, Sunday, 8:30 a.m. I will see you there. Thank you all for your support through this last year. It is very, very much appreciated. So thank you again. All right, crew. Have a good Christmas and a relaxing New Year. Don't drink too much and don't drink and drive, please. Okay, crew. Take care. Over and out.